Good evening. Ira Epstein with your financial market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Wednesday, the 9th of November, 2022, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. I wanted to say a.m. Okay. From a perspective of the markets, how did the elections go? I think the way you look at it is the Republicans did a poor job. Yes, I know they're going to win the House by about 7 seats or so. That's not enough to say they've got a real mandate there. And it's still a toss-up as to which party's going to get control in the Senate. So the red wave never occurred. It was at best a small ripple. Who's the loser on that? I think President Trump. I think that his backing of candidates did not carry the day. That's my opinion of it, okay? Who's the winner? Surprisingly, Joe Biden. He has to be jumping up and down that they didn't get blown out of the water more. And now he probably thinks he can run again. And if President Trump comes in, he can beat him. If I'm President Biden, that's the way I'm thinking about the market right now. On the Republican side, probably Ron DeSantis, the big winner of the evening. He's got to be the superstar right now going for the next year and a half, the guy to replace. The problem he has, and there's a problem, if President Trump declares that he's running, no matter how well he did, how do you overcome the trumpets, let's call them, the trumpets, all the followers that President Trump has, the stage presence, his brashness, what he's going to say. It's like watching at times the words, like Muhammad Ali, it sort of reminds you of. And I'm sure he looks at that in some manner. I mean, who didn't like when Muhammad Ali would talk? I had the pleasure of meeting him. I've got pictures all over my house, me in the ring with him, not fighting with him. He's a friend. It was a friend, and I had the pleasure of going there, not with the group. My wife and I, lunch with the man all afternoon. It was just phenomenal. Okay, so when you talk about all this and you look at it, how do you play it? Well, I don't think you do. It's an event that's behind you now. It'll play itself out over a 2-year time frame. What do we then do? We look at the market and accept that we're going to get more gridlock out of Congress. A lot of things won't get done. Okay, so where does that leave us? Front and center with the Fed. Turn your attention right on there and accept the fact that now it's all about the inflation and how does the Fed get the genie back in the bottle, and they're going to be aggressive about it. We tomorrow get our first real set of numbers I want to see on CPI. We already had jobs data. It's very strong, as you know. Now, is the CPI going to back off if all these rate hikes this year gotten to that point? That's really the issue. The core CPI is what traders will look at. The early estimate is 6.5%, down a tenth from the 6.6 that it had. And the headline CPI, the market seems to be focusing on about a 7.9 reading, about 0.2 down from what it was. Any numbers above those bearish the market. Numbers at them, neutral, which isn't good. It keeps the Fed on path. So you really need to see a drop to get something friendly. That's how I view it. Doesn't mean I'm right, but that's, I think, a logical point of view going in. When I look at the S&P as a chart going into it, you're still under the 18-week average of closes, which means the bias is down. I'm going to repeat. When the market's under that number, I get a bearish bias. When it's over it, I have a bullish bias. Bias is a filter on what the trend is doing. So I now come to the chart and I say, okay, what's that trend? And for the moment, you're back in a downtrend. I know how fast you'll say, well, how did that happen? Well, you do have lower highs and lower lows on the swing line. Now, you got to look to see where it's at in relation to key moving averages. You're under the 18-week average. You have the trend down. Now the bias is down. The Bollinger Bands were not hit. They were hit back here with the 100-day average at the beginning of the month, but now you haven't hit them. If the market falls from here, one of the potential supports is the 36.69 level, and momentum is down. Trend down, bias down. Interesting time for the market. In order to turn the trend back up, I always like to give you the whole thing. You'd have to get back over 2 days ago's high here, this 38.87 level, without taking out the low back here. That could then flip the market right on back in it. Could happen. I don't know what the CPI reaction is going to be or what the number is. All you did in the Nasdaq is rally in a bear market up to the 18-day average, and you've put this back into lower highs, lower lows. Here too, if you don't take out this low and you were to take out the high of 2 days ago, you could flip the market back up. Right now, you're caught in sideways action of the Bollinger Band's probably not going anywhere for a bit. The market that has been the stronger of them had been the Dow. But look what's going on. You lost your upside momentum. So the market is stuck at what had been resistance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you step with me here, and I'll come back a few days. It's always good to do this if the chart will allow me, and it is. I'm still learning this new tool. It's crazy. But you had gotten up to the resistance of the combination of the 200-day average and the Bollinger Band. Back here, the 100-day didn't even matter. The market went through it the very next day and never looked back. So what I thought would be the resistance there didn't turn out to be. You kept the embedded reading, and then you lost it right here. Do you see that? So when you lose that reading, markets often make a run. The word is often. They'll make a run to the closest moving average, but the key is not to get over the most recent high. The market didn't do that. The market went through that high, and now it's reversing down. That's a difficult pattern. It rarely happens. Anything can happen, but it rarely does. So what is the market saying? Because it did that, it is decided that for the moment being, until it probably gets to that CPI number, the support, what was resistance? The 200-day average, with the bigger resistance up at 33,689. If the market breaks that, then you have other support levels. There's nothing here to turn this chart real bearish. Doesn't mean it can't fall apart, but there's nothing on the chart action right here, unlike the Russell, which is back into the downtrend. You see it? Lower highs, lower lows under the 18-day average, opening the door for a challenge of 1709. When we come to the VIX, I had told my traders, be on the lookout here. You're going to lose the embedded reading. You lost it. Fait accompli. That means the goal back into these key averages. You're there. You've met your upside target. Ideally, it goes even further to the 18-day average, which breaks the stock market more, but it doesn't have to. It's met its goal. The rule is you go to the closest main moving average when you lose that, or a Bollinger Band. In the bonds, you've come back up out of the downtrend. Well, that's to be expected. Okay, why would the markets not get neutral in front of this big number? And they did. So this whole downtrend got negated today. When the market took out the prior high, now I see a neutral picture in it on the chart. The 10-year notes is actually bullish. Huh? Yeah. If you just believe in the fact that you got higher lows on the swing line, a higher high, you closed over the 18-day average. So until you take out the low of 2 days ago, which is 109.14, the potential target could be here in this, let's call it the 111 area. In the dollar index, you had already hit the objective yesterday. This was the spot to be coming out. Now you're just getting a bounce in a bearish market. You do agree you've got lower peaks, you got lower lows, you fell into a support zone. You are oversold. I think the pros stepped out. But the trend is still down, not up. Can anything on this chart turn the trend up? Not a thing right now. In the eurocurrency, it's the flip-flop. Remember, 40% of the value of the index of the dollar index is made up of this. Well, you got up to your zone of the upper band in the 100-day average in an overbought market. Anything with a 70 reading here above it is overbought from my way of charting. Okay, trend up into the objective in front of a big major 2-day event, the election result in CPI. You don't think the money was coming out? That's your thought. The typical guy just thinks it's going to the moon or it's going to hell, right? It doesn't work that way. The British pound, what have I told you is going on? You've got day upon day now. On the 17th, we're supposed to get the new budget, the way that they're going to be able to balance things in the UK. Can they get it done? Will the group that Mr. Sunak put together, he already lost a cabinet member for harassing people. But when you look at this guy's background, I'm amazed that he chose him. I mean, he's got a steady background. He was accused by Miss May, the other prime minister, of leaking important material. Well, once you're tarnished, you're tarnished. Now this is happening. Not good choices. But remember, in order to get into office, you have to make political choices, and you owe. And you got to pay back what you owe. Otherwise, you're burned. You burn that bridge. So he probably had to take this guy on. But it's not a good sign what happened. And we still don't know what the plan is. We know they got to find $60 billion. You're looking at this is the washout in Bitcoin. Remember we were looking, would there be an event that causes a real washout? You're in it. It's not coming. It's not going to be at another point in time. You're in the collapse right now. And how many companies are going to be falling in the domino effect as Binance said, no, they're not going to bail out FTX. Now, this was a company that just a year ago was giving away $500, $800 million to bail out other companies. This is make-believe money. These guys get worth $100 billion, then they lose it all in these crazy ways with it. And is it good business? It has to be if you make that kind of money. Would I invest in this stuff? You've heard what I've said. I don't believe in it. I believe solidly in blockchain. I have no idea the purpose of a Bitcoin or these other instruments unless you can use them in some way other than speculation. And that seems to me all that they're about at this point. Imagine a government that decided, and this happened in South America, they're going to base, was it Chile? It's Chile, Peru, it's one of them. We're going to base our economy on this. We're going to take a lot of this in. What about the ball players that said, no, I'll take a third of my salary in Bitcoin? You were reading about that. Enjoy playing for a big reduced salary. When we take a look at crude oil right here, still strong, folks. It hasn't done much. It got hurt today. No question, everything got hurt. Every play in energy, and I liked the energies up until today, they got crushed. Every single one of them. You're out of your uptrends. It's that simple. All right? Every single one of them. That's not a bad thing for inflation. And is it going to last is the better question. So you put it all together. It's going to be a difficult market. You can see you're up a little bit coming in. You got your metals a little lower. Currencies are up against the dollar a fraction here. Haven't made much of a move at this point in the energies, but they've done their damage. So where do we go with all this together? Well, it's pretty simple. One of the things that I love to do is first thing in the morning, and I say first thing, I'm recording typically at 5:30 a.m. Central Time. And during the week, we're going to talk about the reports coming out for the day, what's happened in Asia, Europe, what's coming up in America. Then we go into the charts. And in the charts, unlike here, I can say, buy here, sell there, do exactly this. This is where I want your stop, and this is where it's at. And I do track how it's working. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be right. But my game is, can I be more right than wrong? And can I use money management tools so that when I'm wrong, the losses are under control? Because, there is no trader that doesn't have losing trades. If you believe that, find them. And I see the ads. How many other people watch me on YouTube and you get these guys on the crypto? I'm making $62,000 a week. If you are, why are you on my crypto page? What do you have to send them to that guy? Okay, if he made $62,000 this week and we can double that next week, and we can double that amount the week after and one more time and keep it going, you have all the money in the world. I do mean that. Just do the math, okay? Doesn't work that way. But they want you to put your hard-earned money in it. I don't want you to do that. I want you to use me as a sounding tool. Here's the chart patterns I'm seeing. Here's why I'm seeing them. Here's how they're unfolding right there in the video. You decide, does that make trends sense to you? Maybe it's the nudge you needed to put on a trade, or maybe I'm giving you a reason not to put on that trade. It could be any number of things. I'm a sounding board. I also respond to emails from my subscribers. Sometimes they'll say, hey, Ira, can you do this chart for me? I'd like to see what it looks like. Why not? Takes me 30 seconds to a minute to knock it off, and I do it, and I devote a certain amount of time each day to that for my people. So just go to our website. Under the word research, it's there. You can come up here, and there'll be a cursor. You'll see that. Give it a click. Or you can even do the old-fashioned way. Give a call during the day. My staff does pick up the phone. They'll have you hooked up right then and there. I'm Ira. Watch for the CPI. I'll be looking at it hard, and I will talk to my subscribers first thing in the morning. Take care.